Is it possible to change your entire identity in 6 months? And that may seem a little bit of a long time, but I'm just being honest with you. There's a lot of people say you can do it in 2 days, 2 weeks, but you could change your job in a couple of days and have a change of life. I'm talking about a profound change in character. And one of my clients recently said to me, as a couple of his friends said to him, they don't even recognize who he is anymore. That's the sort of transformation I'm interested in. And that's the sort of transformation I want to get across today in this video. So what if we've been taught a lie right from the beginning, from childhood, about the only way you'll have a sense of arrival is grasping at the future, getting the right grades, getting the right job, and that sense of acceptance in the world around us by having the right amount of money, the right car, the right career? What if it was nothing but a lie? And if it is so effective, why are so many men suffering now that have gone down this route? Even when they are achieving stuff, they still feel like they're grasping at a future arrival point. What about if that's completely wrong? I want to introduce something different today. I want you to forget about your mission, your achievements, what you're trying to do. If you're a young guy and you don't know what you want to do, or you've got a sense of lack of meaning in your life, then this video is definitely for you. If you're already achieving stuff and you're out there doing what you want to do, then this will only bolster the effects of it. So let's look at how a man can actually aim, first and foremostly, as a platform for his life, the character he wants to be, what he's going to stand for, what his aim is as a character of life. Today's video, I want to get that across in 4 steps, 4 vital areas I want you to think about and look at. Because let's be honest, if a man lacks courage, confidence and self-worth, he's never going to see what he should be doing. He's never going to see who he really is. So these things just aren't enough. What about if we aim at a self-acceptance that feels right for us rather than being accepted by the people around us? What about we set our own code of honour, one that we know is going to not cause any self-harm, any damage along the way as we go after our goals? And what I found is that people that go through this, these 4 points here I'm going to go through, they often find their vision and their meaning materialises from that. So it's a completely different way of doing things. Rather than trying to attain things and achieve things in your environment, it's bringing the core back to you. It may seem a strange thing to say, to forget about what you want to do at the moment, forget about where you think you should be, and focus on, hold on a minute, how do I want to walk in this world? What sort of man am I going to be? Am I going to make the world a better place by the character I develop, or am I going to make it worse than what it is, or in alignment with many of the things that are wrong in today's existing society? There's so much angst in the world today from men. They've forgotten who they are. They've forgotten their real potential because they've gone down that route of never being enough and always grasping at trying to prove themselves rather than coming back to themselves, the core of who they are and who they want to be. And it's almost like a remembrance of who they are. So if you do the following steps for the next 6 months, I can promise you, you will have a complete change of identity. Do it for a month and you'll find some profound changes already. You get to 3 months and your old self will definitely start to drop away. In 6 months, people won't recognize who you are. Okay, so let's jump in at number 1, master the body. So it's interesting, I read in ancient Hindu culture, it didn't matter if you wanted to be a lawyer or a healer, a doctor or a warrior, you had to start with mastering your physical body. It started with the training of the physical body. Why? Because physicality gives you convictions behind your words, your beliefs and your actions. You're really going to struggle as a man if you don't do any physical training, any physical discipline to become a character that will actually give you confidence and courage in your daily life. You want to start when you're young. If you're a young guy listening to this, you want to start as young as possible. You want to start to develop a platform of physical fitness and conditioning early in life. The earlier the better. I started at around about 12 years old, which is very, very young, but it wasn't until I was 15, 16 I really got into it. So the earlier you start, the better, because it will actually keep you in good stead for the rest of your life. So the earlier you start, the greater you're going to receive rewards throughout your entire life. If you're an older guy and you've never done it, or you've never quite got into it, you've never found your thing, now's the time to relook at it. It's never too late, but I do recommend you start it early in life if possible. So let's go a bit deeper. What can you do? If you want the greatest resilience and courage and mental strength, what can you do? Loads of guys go to the gyms now. Gyms seem to be on every corner of every town. Many men are training, but yet men are becoming more fragile. If going to the gym and looking good and building muscle was the panacea for the angst of men, why are they becoming more fragile? Why is there so many fit men that have not got the mindset to match that physicality? It's because it's a cover-up. Going to the gym is often an ego-based outcome. I am how I look. So the look becomes the whole focus of that training. And that is a route that's probably going to lead to suffering at some point. And this is from somebody that won the Southern England bodybuilding title. I was a bodybuilder for quite many years in my youth, so I do know about this stuff. I knew that I was focusing on my ego, but I was also using it as a distraction for things that I wouldn't face. And this is a big thing that no one talks about. Often people go to the gym and create a good body because the rest of their life is often a shambles. And it's the perfect way to cover it up. So if I could just be good at one thing, I don't have to look at the rest. But that's not what being a responsible man is, and I do not recommend it. It will eventually just cause you pain. Martial arts is what I recommend. There's so many out there now. So many good ones you could choose from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to Muay Thai, boxing, judo. Proper full contact martial arts will serve you very, very well. If you're an older guy and you're concerned about this, then you can just choose 5 or 6 techniques that will serve you very, very well. And they'll also become like a form of mindfulness and they're repeated over and over and over. I'll get to this in another video, that point on less is more. But for now, try and choose a martial art. The reason being is because it tames your ego. It's not how you look, it's what you can do. It's about confrontation. It's about self-discipline. It's completely different from just going to the gym to look good. They are miles apart. Having done both, seriously, they are miles apart. And to give you an idea, if you did high-level judo for 6 months, going every week, numerous times a week, that 6 months would be worth more than a lifetime of personal development coaching. It's that powerful. You would walk differently. You'd even walk like a judo guy. Your mind would be different. You'd move in the world around you differently, and you'd think in a different way. It's that powerful. So try to look at martial arts over just going to the gym. Not that you have to go to. You would have to omit going to the gym as well, but just try and make the core focus martial arts and the physical conditioning gym work a secondary aspect. And finally, on this section, if a man is capable of chaos, if he's capable of destruction, tames it and chooses not to use it, he will be a real force for good. He'll be able to create some incredible opportunities in the world around him for whatever he decides to do. But first and foremostly, you're building your character, which is why Jigoro Kano, who founded judo, founded it for that very reason alone, the development of character over the development of ego. So check out a martial art, find one you can do for 6 months. It will be tough. Sometimes you'll want to run away. Sometimes you won't want to do it. And this process of 6 months is interesting because every single chink in your armor, every thought, every feeling will come out and give you a reason not to do it. And that's what you want to be aware of. Listen to the voices, the differing personalities you've all got that say, don't go tonight, you're a bit tired. Or don't bother with this 6 months routine because you've got better things you can do, or it's not going to work. They are all condition responses you've had all your life to stop you achieving and keeping you where you are. And you're going to have to observe them, overcome them, and move forward. Number 2, get the palate right. The food you consume, super important. A lot of your energy will come from the food you consume. You can eat in a way that will make you more frightened, more fearful. If you want proof of this, just consume huge amounts of caffeine in one day and see what happens to your mind. See what happens to your nervous system. What you consume can either create levels of calm, levels of focus, or it can create fear and anxiety. Now, I'm not into extreme diets like the carnivore or being a vegan or any of that stuff. I'm just really into pure food that you can buy and cook and eat in a moment, unprocessed, as pure as you can possibly get, and eating just twice a day is what I follow. I won't go into the details of what I eat now, but just try and go for a pure diet 6 days a week. In 1 day a week, you can let your hair down, you can indulge. But rest assured, if you're ambitious about this and you really want to do it, let's say you have a lot of alcohol to drink on a Saturday night, you're going to lose 2 days. You're going to lose Sunday recovering, and you're going to lose Monday. You won't have recovered. And the older you get, you will lose 3 days or 4 days. So this is why at some point people that get older and they want to achieve things stop drinking, because they know they're going to lose so many days. But try and be good for 6 days a week. It's tough. Even just doing that, it's tough. Once again, every part of you will come out and say, just blow it tonight, you deserve a reward. But they're just old scripts, old narratives, trying to push you back to that image that you want to escape from. So just observe those voices and thoughts as they come up. That's all you need to do. And don't identify yourself with them, because you're not. So just observe them and they will pass. Number 3, follow a philosophy of courage. So if you're going to stand for something as a man, if you're going to have a code of honor, might be handy at first to have an actual guideline of what you're going to stand for. There's some brilliant posters of the 7 laws of Bushido out there, the way of the warrior, which is very effective. You've got Stoicism, which is growing in popularity. All these things will serve you well, very well. They're all everything's aimed at courage. Everything's aimed at becoming better. Everything's aimed at not being led by your emotions and not be paralyzed by them. So I've always said, and I stick by that, they are far more effective than therapy and most forms of personal development coaching, because they aim at character, not the mission you want to achieve. You can have both, but focus on the man you want to be, the character, the formidable character, because that's all you're going to have left at the end of your life, not the mission you undertook. So it's of paramount importance you focus on the man you want to be. And those old philosophies will serve in a pinch. So every man is going to have to be a leader at some point, whether he's leading his family, if he becomes a father, whether he's leading a team at work, whether he starts a huge company, he's going to have to be a leader. So being led with courage, integrity and compassion are extremely important. And remember, without the resilience to actually cope with adversity, how are you going to see the opportunity within the adversity? That's really important. And these things that you do here, getting control of your senses, mastering yourself and building a character you can rely on in all circumstances, you'll see the opportunity that you wouldn't otherwise see, because obviously you're only focused on fear and avoidance. You don't see the opportunities around you from that mindset. And while we're talking about leadership, there's only really 2 reasons people leave, 2 motives for leading. One is a service-based, responsibility-based leadership. That's where you're making the world a better place. You're actually building the people around you to be the best that they can be, including yourself. So you're leading from a position of service. You're making your team better. You're supporting other people. It's service-based. And that is where courage resides, because it's about taking a personal risk for the benefit of other people. So if you want to look at the pinnacle of something like that, an example would be Martin Luther King, who sacrificed his life, his freedom at times, just to free the black people, to give them the vote. And then he went on to be against the Vietnam War. Even when everybody was against him at some points, he knew what was morally the right thing to do. He knew the content of his character. That was his message. Let people be judged on the content of the character. And it was service-based leadership, which he paid for with his life in the end, because he was willing to put himself in that position. So that's like the pinnacle of service-based leadership. Now, the other one is selfish-based personal motive for leadership, personal motivations. It's the selfishness, it's the need to be rewarded. So that's where you get other people to take risks so that you benefit and you gain. It's based on, it's actually, at its core, it's based on a low self-esteem. So rather than face your weaknesses and building your character in the chinks in your armour, you cover it up with having control and power over other people. It's very common, a whole political spectrum at the moment across the Western world is just that. So, but there's lots of companies out there, great companies that don't adopt that, and it's service based. And as an individual man, that's actually the duty and responsibility for every man anyway. It's like the second law of chivalry: protect the weak and needy. So there's a big difference between the two styles of leadership. And the latter that I said about the political landscape at the moment is how we see how weak men create hard times, because it's not service based. It's based on selfishness, greed, corruption, and the need to control over other people because they have no control over themselves. Number 4, do not lie. So from a purely personal development example, there's the Gospel of Thomas, where all the disciples are asking Yeshua. They're saying, "Oh, how should we do? How should we give alms? And what diet should we follow? And how should we fast?" They're all talking about the peripherals, and Yeshua just says, "Just do not lie." He cuts right through the things that could be the voice of the ego, in which discipline often does become an egotistical pursuit, and just says, "Do not lie." That's the main core thing. So once people start lying, they create a false life all around them. And then he said, do not do things you hate, which can be translated as do not do things that make you hate yourself, which definitely lying will come under that. So a lack of integrity and lying are forms of self-harming that will have greater and greater consequences. So lying is the lifestyle that is the excuse for those that cannot live and speak with truth and courage. So that's the main 4. 6 months. Once fear is no longer your perception, you'll start to see things very differently. Fear is a poison. If we wake up in fear and are in fear every day, we're never going to see who we are or what we're capable of. So overcoming fear is such a big thing, and all those pursuits, those 4 principles I've given there will help you overcome fear. The philosophy side of it's really important. It's really the core. People train for even to expose, to celebrate their own ego. You can even do that with food. But the philosophy is it's unseen. It's not on public view. So only you know what you're aiming at there. Only you know your code of honor. That's why it's most powerful, because it's not something that you flaunt to the world. If you do, it's often comes under that saying of virtual signaling, which once again is due to inadequacy. So the code is really important. I'll talk about this more on other videos. But just be aware that a whole new vision of life could unfold in 6 months, where maybe your friends too will say, "We don't even know who you are anymore." I hope that day comes for you too. But give it 6 months and you'll have a profound, complete change of image.